All right, we are going to be multiplying and dividing rational expressions in this note today. So just a quick recall. If I have one fraction times another fraction, I would do numerator times numerator, or top times top, over bottom times bottom. So A times C, which is AC, over B times D, which is BD. If I wanted to talk about a numerical example, I'd have 8 over 15 times 5 over 4. And top times top, 8 times 5 is 40, and then bottom times bottom, 15 times 4 is 60. So I can go one step further. I can simplify the 40 over 60. I could divide each of these by 20, and I would be able to get 2 over 3. All right, so the next thing that we're going to be talking about is dividing. If I have A over B divided by C over D, we know that that's the exact same as A over B times the flip of that second fraction. So D over C. And then top times top, A times D is AD, and bottom times bottom, B times C is BC. If I wanted to do an example with numbers, 5/3 divided by 10/6, I know that I could rewrite that as 5/3 times the flip of that second fraction, so times 6 over 10. 5 times 6 is 30. 3 times 10 is also 30, and so I'm going to be getting 30 over 30, which is just 1. All right, so in this example, we are going to be simplifying and stating restrictions. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to multiply these together. I have x squared times 3y. So that's going to leave me with 3x squared y. And in my denominator, I have a 6 and an x, so 6x. Right away, I can state my restrictions. So I have x cannot be 0. That's the only thing that I have here. And now I can start crossing out. So I am going to be able to simplify these coefficients. So 3 and 6 can be reduced to 1 over 2. So I'm just going to write that like that. And then I can get rid of this x with one of the x's from the top. So on the top, I'm just going to be left with x, y. All right, this next example is already factored for us, so that's nice. I'm going to be able to just multiply these, top times top. 3 times 10 is 30, and then I've got an a squared. I also have a b plus 2 in brackets and an a minus 3 in brackets. On my denominator, the only number I have is 5. I have an ab, and I have an a minus 3. At this point, I can write my restrictions. I can't have an a of 0. That would make the whole bottom 0. I can't have a b of 0 as well. That would make the entire bottom 0. And then in this bracket, I cannot have an a of 3. I can go ahead and start canceling out. So I can cancel out these a minus 3s. I know that I can reduce this 30 and the 5, so I can divide this by 5, and when I do that, I'm going to be left with just 6. And then I know that I can cancel out this a with one of these a's right here. So what I'm going to be left with is 6a times b plus 2 on the top, and on the bottom, all I'm left with is b. When I look at this next example, I do notice that this first fraction is completely factored, but the numerator and the denominator of that second fraction do need to be factored. So go ahead and pause the video and start factoring that for yourself. I factored both those difference of squares. So the first one, or the numerator, is 2y minus 1 and 2y plus 1. And my denominator is 1 minus 3y and 1 plus 3y. At this point, I can do my restrictions. So I'm going to get y cannot equal negative 1/2. It also cannot equal a 1/3. That would be from this bracket. And it cannot equal a negative 1/3. Now, if you need to do all of this work on the side to figure it out, go ahead and set each of those brackets equal to 0 and solve. I can cancel out a couple of things now. So I can cancel out the 2y plus 1s and the 1 minus 3y. And so this is all going to reduce to 2y subtract 1 over 1 minus 3y. All right, the last two examples that I'm going to be doing are both division, so there is a little bit of extra work involved. So before we get into flipping and multiplying or anything like that, I do want you to go ahead and factor these. So pause that and double check that you did your factoring correct. All right, so I factored the numerator and denominator for both of these fractions, and the reason that I haven't combined them or changed it to a multiply by the flip is because when we are dividing, we have to think really hard about the restrictions that we're going to have. So I need to start my restrictions right now. X cannot be 5, and it cannot be 3. Again, I have a 5, and now I also have a positive 1. I need to write my restrictions now, and then I need to change it to times the flip of that second fraction. All right, so now I've rewritten the second fraction as a multiply the flip of that second fraction. And now that I've done that, I need to look at my restrictions again. So now I have an x on the bottom, so we know that that means that x cannot be 0, and I have an x minus 2, so that means that x cannot be positive 2. So just to clarify, I'm doing my restrictions on the line where it's a divide, and then I need to add to them again when I change that to a multiply and flip that second fraction. At this point, I can go ahead and cancel out anything. So x minus 5s can go away, x minus 3s can go away, x minus 2s can go away. And after all of this work and all of those restrictions, I'm left with x minus 1 over x. All right, last example. So of course it's nice and hard. Again, there's tons of factoring that needs to be done here. So I'm going to go ahead and let you do all of that factoring. All right, I've done all of this factoring, some decomposition. The last fraction had some difference of squares, and I haven't changed anything. I've left it as a division so that I can write my restrictions, which I'm going to do at the bottom. So here I have x cannot be a positive 3 over 2. It cannot be negative 1. It cannot be negative 5 over 4. Negative 1 again. Cannot be positive 5, and it cannot be negative 5. At this point in time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rewrite this so that this middle fraction is a multiply by the flip. So I'm going to flip the numerator and the denominator there, and then I'm going to leave these two the same because they are like just irregular times. All right, so I've rewrote it. I rewrote that middle fraction as a multiply by the flip. So now that I've changed that, I do need to take a look at it again for new restrictions potentially. Here I would get a negative 5 over 4, which I've already included, and then I would also be adding that positive 4 over 3. At this time, I am able to cancel out anything possible, so I've got a 3x minus 4, I've got a 4x plus 5, I've got an x plus 5, I've got an x plus 1, I've got a 2x minus 3, and after all of this, I'm going to be left with 2x plus 3 over x minus 5 with all 6 of these restrictions that are listed at the bottom here.